I'm happy. I'm happy, but I don't see any comments. No comments yet. So I'm hoping that means y'all can hear us. We got 5 people. There's a delay on my end. I don't want to hear this. All right, very good. Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're here. We are about 53 minutes into this. I'm hoping we've got some viewers that can hear us. Maybe you'll see people comment on your screen, but anywho, we're here. This morning we're talking about, is real estate still a good bet?
Oh, yes.
Is it?
Love that topic.
Love it. Love it. Tell me about it. Let's tell our audience this morning. Who's that? Are they hearing us?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So we are live. Okay. And I'm just curious to know that what are your thoughts? Is real estate a good bet? I mean, we're just going to dive right in.
See, y'all want to talk about real estate is a good investment. When I think that this should be a whole totally different debate right now.
Okay.
The biggest debate right now
Okay.
that I have, it's not even about real estate.
Okay.
It's not at all.
What is it about?
At the end of the day, Keita came in this morning, bought big bag of candy.
Big A bag.
Big A bag of candy. Because I'm trying to unbig my big A stomach. Okay.
You need to hide that.
You want to talk about real estate, but I want to talk about, and I saw this in a group about, I saw this in our neighborhood group.
Oh.
This was a real debate amongst homeowners.
About
candy. Is trunk or treat ruining Halloween? I know you don't celebrate it, but I'm just saying, is trunk or treat ruining Halloween? That's what we really should be talking about.
Okay.
Obviously it is, because she thought it was cute. Candy, because no trick-or-treaters came to her house. That's what the podcast needs to be about. I need you to weigh in. Is trunk or treat ruining Halloween? Because this is not an acceptable gift. So I'm going to just right back on over here. Take that right on back to the house to shoot. And now,
all right, wait, before you go anywhere, I just want to tell the young ladies that responded they could hear us. Thank you.
Candy for the office. And none of us need that big A bag. So,
well, you know what, she was sharing the love is what she was doing.
Weigh in. The tree for Halloween, I guess it has, but anyway.
Right. The little kids are dressed up.
Day it's about the candy and they want to dress up, right? Is that what they want? That's why people do it. So as far as that trunk or treat goes, I would say for people like me who don't celebrate, maybe it's an alternative so that your kids can at least feel like, okay, we can go get us some candy.
Well, the argument in the neighborhood.
Otherwise, we could just go to Kita's over here and get some candy. So and satisfied.
You know, the kids weren't coming to the house anymore, and people weren't outside coming through the community. So I thought it was cute that it was a real debate. But now I guess I was just like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So
I
these
are the things but I didn't read it
in the Homeowners Association Facebook group.
Very good.
So I just thought I would bring that to the forefront as breaking news. Breaking news.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Let's go with the stats.
Is real estate still a good investment? Since we have realtors, we'll let them address them.
I'll let you start because I feel like I talk too much. So let me let you talk. Go. Because I had a comment about you were so quiet, and I'm like, I'm gonna let Keita talk.
That's fine. You know, of course, real estate is still the cornerstone to wealth in the United States of America.
Amen. And why
do you think everybody wants to come here and buy real estate?
Yeah.
It's still the cornerstone, and most Americans still see real estate as the number one way to generate wealth.
Yes.
In the United States.
Okay, hold on. What about the person? I'm devil's advocate today. Okay. Like I'm spinning off today. What about the person that says, of course you're going to say that, Keita. Nikita, you're a realtor.
You're a realtor.
Jennifer, you're a realtor. Why? Of course you're going to say it's the best investment. What do we have to go with the statements that you have put out there?
I'm glad you asked.
That is still the best investment. Because I'll be like, you know, you just
I'm glad you asked.
I'm
actually. You know what? It ain't about just about the commission. It really is about helping the family. But here we are. Can you guys see this screen? Is it sharing?
Yeah.
Is it sharing the screen? Is it, what about on you? There we go.
So what are you showing us? Like, this is price appreciation, but she said that Americans still believe that.
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you
Okay.
historically, and maybe I am getting ahead of it,
That's fine.
but I'll tell you this. Historically, we know that for the last 60 years, and if any of you follow me on Instagram or even on Facebook, you do. I did a video a few weeks ago, or that was posted, and we talked about home prices, and again about home ownership still being a good investment. We know that at least over the last 60 years, this slide shows you over the last 60 years, home prices have appreciated. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
So
That means
over
that the
time,
wealth gap.
talk to me.
Because the houses are going up in price, meaning if you own the home, you're paying it down and it's starting to appreciate. So you start to generate, what is this thing called that you generate when this happens?
Equity.
Oh, equity. All right. Okay.
And
let's
it
talk
builds
about it.
wealth. It builds
Okay.
your wealth. I mean, and home ownership is typically, probably in a lot of cases, one of the biggest investments that people will make in their life.
Okay.
Right? So we
I
are
think
building equity.
All
Now,
right.
what this slide shows you is the increase in rents over the last 60 years. Right? So I'm gonna let you,
Whoa.
I'm gonna hold with this, and this is the sources iProperty, but you can see over the last 60 years, rents have gone up, right?
Yeah.
So rents have gone up, but we also know that home price appreciation. And what does that mean when we talked about equity for the folks that don't necessarily understand what that means?
You
So
went back to price.
I went back because I wanted to show the
Oh,
comparison that
okay.
the prices have appreciated and so have rents. The difference between these two slides is while your rents are steadily increasing, if you have a 30-year fixed over time, what you're doing is you're retiring that debt. So your mortgage, that principal and interest payment, does not increase, but we know rents do. And at the end of that, whether it's a 30-year, if you did a 15-year, at the end of that time, you're retiring the debt, but you are, just like your values are increasing, so is that equity, what you bought it for and what it is now worth. So that is money to you, the
You know
homeowner.
what? That means
So-
that your net worth, when you sit down with your financial planner, that means your net worth, meaning how much you're actually worth.
Mhm.
Yeah,
is
so I think we
increasing.
got a slide on that
Oh,
work.
okay.
Yeah, y'all are killing it
Yes.
this morning. I like
Girl,
it because I was like, oh,
We bringing charts and graphs. How about that?
Just talking
I
stuff.
stopped.
We don't
Share.
believe you.
We believe you. We believe you. So
Oh,
all right. So you know what, Keita? This slide right here is a very important slide to go right back to where we just
Well,
came
let's
from.
get-
Let me bring this
she
one back
said
up.
personal net worth.
Your personal net worth. So the difference between, we just showed you that over the last 60 years, home prices have continued to increase, right? Home ownership has always, and I don't have that slide readily available, but has even always outpaced even the stock market. Would y'all agree?
Yeah.
I would think so.
Over time, it has,
Over time.
it has, right?
Over time.
Okay.
I mean, because real estate has always been a long-term investment.
Absolutely.
You know, it was never designed to be a short-term
Okay.
investment.
So you're telling me the
Yes.
net worth is about 40 times more for a homeowner.
Bingo. So we told you guys, we just showed you guys the increase in home value. We also showed you how rents increases. Now the difference, again, at the end of your term, whatever term mortgage you have, and this queen, at the end of that, the pot of gold waits for you. It's there for you. You now own this valuable asset, and whatever you paid plus whatever the appreciation.
Got it.
But we also know that over 60 years, rents continue to rise. But at the end of that, your landlord, you just paid off his mortgage. Now, this slide right here shows, and I'm gonna let you talk to this, Keita, the homeowner, or you, Keita, whichever one of y'all want to dive in, the homeowner's net worth. The homeowner's net worth on average, if he purchases that $400,000, we're talking about $400,000 home, and this is your household net worth versus the renter's household, is about a 40%, 40 times greater.
Yeah, I think it's been addressed. So, yeah.
Go ahead and talk.
I
to
mean, this is particularly true in certain parts of the country. I mean, we can go on and on and on. I mean, we live in the DC metro area. That's definitely true. I was just out in LA and I ran into a lady that paid $17,000 for a house. You know, 30 years later, that same house is $1.8 million, $2.5 million houses on that street. I mean,
it's a no-brainer.
You know,
Even if you think about, and this speaks to the fact of waiting. I'm sorry, let me stop sharing. This speaks also to people being on the fence, whether I should buy now. Now, granted, let me just also preface it with this. Everybody's situation is different, right? So we get that. But ultimately, we just saw the fact that these are the facts that home ownership outweighs of renters home ownership, the renter's income or worth by 40 times. But again, if you're waiting, we know that values are continuing to go up. If I look back 10 years ago and where we are today, if you thought maybe you said, well, I'm just going to wait, and you wait out another 10 years, we just showed you that historically the values are continuing to increase.
I think she got something.
I'm gonna shut down because I
Right.
told you I talked too much.
No, this has been,
This is good stuff.
good. Like, actually showing the actual numbers, because I think a lot of times people try to say, of course you all are going to say that because you are real estate agents. But at the end of the day, you know, we talk about, for me personally, I'm like, we're just going to keep it real, relevant, and raw. But I'm going to continue on my path today of playing devil's advocate.
Yes.
Okay.
Talk
So
to us.
you set yourself up set us up real good for this conversation.
Okay.
So that you said the lady in LA had a house and she bought it for
$18,000.
18,000. What year was that?
In
Nice.
LA.
Yeah, it was 1970,
I knew it. I was like, man,
1972 or 73.
just
right around.
post the civil rights era.
Yeah.
See, that was more in LA.
In LA. In LA.
We still shall overcome time, but it's all good. I'm missing an earring. Nobody told me, but I guess you can't see it anyway.
You
But
can have one on, but that
yeah,
one
it's just one.
coming out.
I know, right?
All right, go ahead. Maybe it's the
in
back.
my sleep,
All
but
right, stay to the point. I want to hear. I want to hear.
so
And I got an open house in 2 hours, so let's keep it moving. All right, I had to throw that in.
no problem. But good one.
It's a good
It's a
one.
good personal problem to have. Open house.
Bunk cake.
Okay.
Cookies.
Towards the end,
Okay, sorry.
no, and towards the end, make sure you give everyone the address.
Wonderful.
That
Absolutely.
maybe they want to get off the fence and understand that
But don't just come for the bunk cakes. You can though.
But you know what? Before you play devil's advocate, I want to
Yeah.
say this. I heard recently on the news that they said that for the first time ever, that renting is actually cheaper than home ownership. And I said, you know what? I said, that's a trick of the devil.
Oh,
It really,
she said it, but she said it.
no. It really is. It is. When you talk about playing devil's advocate, that is a spin if I've ever saw one. Okay, while it might appear that that's true, because if you look at the times, sometimes fear is false evidence appearing real.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so they put in a lot of fear. It's a lot of fear.
Speak to me.
It's a lot of fear going on because we know long term that home ownership, if you're ever going to increase your net worth, if you're ever going to open up doors of opportunity for you, that we just showed you that in the long term it's better for you to own.
Here we go. I just put it back up. I'm sorry. I just need y'all to see. Although it may be low now, it's false evidence appearing real because the market is going through a little something, and that's okay.
It's okay.
But at the end of the day, we know that whatever you're doing, unless your situation warrants it, at the end of that, just do the math. Just, you are the one. I always said the math, the numbers don't lie. They speak volume. Just do the math. If you if you're in a 2-year, a 1-year rent lease, how much is that at the end of that year? And then figure
Well-
out how much of that would have gone back in your pocket through, and I'm not a tax advisor, but and bringing down, remember we talked about building the equity and building that wealth, right?
Okay.
But at the end of that year, guess what you just did?
What?
You deposited into your landlord's pocket
Mm.
and you don't get any benefits from it.
Yeah.
Nothing. So again,
Well, I mean, you
that's
get
a
the
trick.
benefit, you
Yeah,
get
It's a
benefit.
trick. It's blinding the eyes of the people. Okay, I ain't gonna go there. Go ahead.
You get the benefit of having somewhere to live.
Well, that part you do,
But also,
but
I can-
you're not
but like
building
you said-
wealth.
But you know what? Home ownership also, I tell people, think of it like a forced savings account. Because some people don't save a dime, but they lease through their homes, they're actually
Yeah.
able to save.
Yes.
By putting that mortgage, that's something that
Forced saving.
benefits you. So it's a forced savings. account.
That you don't even
It does.
actually see.
Well, this sounds
Okay.
excellent. This is great. It really does. But hey, interest rates are in the 7.5% to 8% range.
And your point is,
And I'm just saying, like, rates for 7.5% to 8%, Jennifer, I can't afford the house that I want right now because of this. So I hear you. This is why the news may have a spin that renting is actually cheaper than buying at this time. However, don't tell me either. Like, so let's, and don't do this to me. Like y'all say it, 1988, rates were 8%. In 1988, the rates were 8%. And
in
now
2000, they were 8%.
well, they're 8% now, but it's not the same thing, Jen. Keita, I don't know. The average income
You want to
in
answer that?
1988 was $32,200. The average sales price at that time was $100,000. Mom, what do you want me to do with this? Wait a minute. The average income in 2023, brace yourself, is $75,000. Okay. In 2023, the average loan amount, and we know we're not talking about Prince William County, is $408,000. So before, income to housing was a three times that, right?
Yeah.
32,000 sales price, 100,000 for our Emma's house. Now we're in 2023, the average income is 75,000, but the average loan amount is 408. That's 5 times the amount. So now, when I see these rates and I see a 5x return on what the sales price of the loan amount actually is, I don't know. Should I really buy a house?
It doesn't sound like necessarily it's a if I should, it's if I can.
Thank
That's
you.
the key. But
Okay.
here's another thing you mentioned that you started off with early on, and
Mhm.
feel free to jump in.
Okay.
But in all sincerity, again, it unfortunately the way that the things are and the times are, not everybody can. I
Mhm.
get it.
Mhm.
However, you said I can't buy the house I want. But it may not, you may not get your house that you want. But listen, let's just get your foot in the door. When I started out, my first house was a 2-level townhouse and it was a foreclosure.
Okay.
But I got my foot in the door.
Okay.
So that allowed me, going back to that word equity, to over time build equity so that I had enough money to take what we made on that house
Okay.
and roll it over into the one that we now have.
Oh,
And then over time, we were able to take some of that equity
okay.
and go buy a second home.
Oh, so you had to get
So I
started. You had
leveraged.
to get somewhere.
I had to
started
start. I
somewhere.
had to start
Okay,
somewhere.
But you use this thing called leverage,
I use that thing called leverage.
called other people's money.
OPM.
And I hear this statement. I'm all devil's advocate today, but the rate is 8%. What is the don't do it.
Little bunny, little bunny, little bunny, little bunny.
What is the rate on rent? So you don't really have a true cost of what the rate on rent is. So saying that I'm not going to buy because of the interest rate and I can't get the house I want, is basically saying that I want to either delay or not delay building equity and appreciation or delay becoming a homeowner at all. For some, it's just not going to happen unless we get, more creative because of the rate environment that we're actually in.
Well,
you said
She
something earlier.
spoke to some
Well,
just there. Did you catch that?
you
one?
said creative, and the thing is that it's interesting. What I find to be true, if you make up your mind that you really want to buy a home, then we're going to help you buy a home. But you have to be a participant in that process. Because one thing that I know is that there's always going to be a program, that's available no matter what your income is to help you be able to afford the home. It will require discipline a lot of times. And I think that's where a lot of times people miss it. Some of the programs, the grant programs may require you to only have 1 or 2%. Now, will you discipline yourself to make sure you have your 1 or 2% that needs to go into the deal? To me, that's still worth it. So that's where a lot of people, fall short, I think, is having that discipline required. And if you need somebody to help you, you have a team here of us three. I know the three of us, we gladly help, find you a program that works for you and to hold you accountable until you get those keys in your hand, if that's what you really want to do.
Absolutely. That's
It's
perfect.
beyond worth it. You said 1%. Come on, man.
I'm just saying.
Like, is it worth it? It's beyond worth it. Because here's the thing. I've been checked. Okay, so I said on a live that the Prince William County, the average sales price is 450,000. Those were some stats I think we talked about, I don't know, with a different agent, and maybe I asked for a different number.
Well,
But I've been told by Jennifer that that amount actually is
higher,
And what is that, sister?
545.
545,000 for Prince William County.
Show it to
That's
us.
the median. Yeah, show us the median actual price. So I was being low. Okay. So with that in mind, 1%
How much is
of that,
1%, Markita?
there you go. I have you $5,450.00. Okay.
So what can you do to get that?
You can do a lot of things. You're going to need that to just try to get into somebody's apartment or,
That's true.
or rental.
Tell me.
First
I
time
hear
spending
you.
security deposit.
Just for the
Yeah.
security
So-
deposit, 6 months rent, and then if you add a pet, let's have two
Oh,
with
yeah.
renters. Well, a lot of us nowadays are pet owners. I mean, you guys may not be, but a lot of us have pets, and that's a whole nother segment.
Yeah,
Because
it definitely could be a spinoff.
But no, my point is wanting to rent, and then you have that on top of the down payments and so forth, but then finding the homeowner that's willing to allow you to bring and your favorite name, Fluffy, or what was the
Boo Boo
cat
Kitty.
name? Boo Boo Kitty. Come and live there. Because I know a lot of my owners don't even want cats because of the cat dander.
Yeah.
So, but any event, that's another story, for another day.
Okay, so
I digress.
you have some statistics.
I do. Give me a second. Y'all keep talking. Let me pull it up. I gotta log in.
So somebody you said about you're like, what does that look like if I do decide to wait? And in some cases, maybe you have to wait or be more creative. But just for some very broad numbers, rent at 24,000 a year is what would have to go out. So 2,000 a month. And I'm being very generous at the 2,000 a month. So $24,000 in rent for that year.
Rent for that.
Meanwhile, let's just say home at 400,000. I know it's not the median amount, but it might be an amount that a first-time buyer can qualify for. If we go by appreciation numbers, there's a double whammy there, because that same house, if we stick with our 5% historical, is now going to be worth 420,000. And then you're going to also have the principal and interest that you're paying down during that year. So I would say you're probably, $22,000 to the good if we could sacrifice on that. But let's talk about cash and cash investment, right? Let's just say you did get in the house for $4,000, 1% of the sales price, by using some type of down payment assistance or grant program. If you get appreciation of $20,000 in that year, you have 5 extra money just that right there. By making that investment, by deciding, by not being guided by fear. I would say it's extremely easy to do because the headlines are very, very misleading. And in some ways, I think that's purposely. I shall not go down the conspiracy theory today with my thoughts on that. But yeah, so I think America is turning into a country of renters. although 74% say it's still their American dream
Yeah.
to actually own a home, I think it's just becoming more difficult to do so. So I'm urging you to act now, not because you're going to do a mortgage with me or buy a home with Nikita or Jennifer. Certainly we want you to. However, I think this is an urgent clarion call right now.
Yeah.
So people say their American dream, according to Bankrate, 74% say they still want to own a home. America's affordability crisis is making that harder to do. 62% say they want to be able to retire. And then 61% say they want a successful career, and 33% say they want a college degree. So these are the things from Bankrate that says these things are still the American dream.
Right.
Ladies, what I find interesting out of that, if 74% say they want to own a home, but 62% say they want to be able to retire, did you know that your retirement might be tied to the home ownership? Did y'all peep that?
Yeah.
Because what are we doing? We're saying that real estate is a long-term investment. This is how the average American builds wealth.
Yeah.
So you retiring might actually be correlated to actually being a homeowner. So just something to consider. Now, as America goes down this road to make it more difficult to be a homeowner, we're going to have to get creative. So there was some mention of down payment assistance programs for first-time buyers. You do have some areas that have down payment assistance for repeat buyers. However, they come at a substantially higher interest rate, but we know that no interest rate is higher than actually renting and paying a landlord's mortgage. So when you say get creative, I'm going to continue to spill the tea while they work on some numbers over here or some data that they want you to see. One way of being creative right now, which we have it wrong in America, is multi-generational living.
Oh,
So we actually have it wrong. We're forced to go into this now, though I feel like that, the average first-time buyer now or first-time homeowner might be able to qualify for more by the family pooling funds together, right? So I think I've joked on another podcast that, mom and dad don't want to live with you, or maybe they don't. However, there is some merit to that now that affordability is in question. So multi-generational living, I actually did it myself with my mom, and then had the grandkids, and
and we talked about
initially we didn't think we would like that, but it worked out so well. We had more quality time as a family. It was easier for me to care for her as an aging parent, because this aging thing is not for the weak at heart out here. Okay, so that helped out quite a bit. Flexibility, never had Hazel or anybody in the house to have to babysit the kids. We know we live in a crazy world right now. And we're also seeing numbers that suggest across America that grandparents want to be closer to their grandkids. So something to consider now that America is effectively underbuilt for 10 years for the household formations. You have formed your household. Now you don't have any help. You're ready to buy a home. You don't have enough inventory. So you don't care about the 8% rates. You're ready to get in. But you can't.
But you know what? I saw a statistic on that when you say that kids that grow up in the house with their grandparents are actually more well-rounded, more disciplined. They have a whole thing.
I like it. It makes sense.
Yeah, the family, this is a number you saw, that quarterly number was for, that number you talking about, that was for 22, that was for that zip code.
It's for that.
It was for the 22193 zip code. The median price there is 474,180.
So I was close.
You didn't pull that number out. You did not. You absolutely did not. So the here we are. Median sales price is 400 for Q3 of this year is Q3 is for $545,000. And the average sales price is $582,159 in Prince William County. That's average. That's average.
Okay, so let's continue. So you said multi-generational, the kids are more well-rounded and different things like that by having, grandparents or whatever it is in the household. So we're going to have to be more creative in addressing that. And another way to do it, and I don't think we talked about, I think it's been out since we were on the last podcast. The time goes by that there was an announcement that now you only need 5% down to buy a multi-unit property.
Oh, wow.
So we've always had that option with an FHA loan, 3.5%. But finally, conventional loans have decided that, you know what, we're getting on the bandwagon because we understand that we're going to need multi-generations living.
Yes.
So now you can buy a property with 5% down, up to 4 units.
Now,
Up to
don't say we didn't tell you,
That
because
is
there's another
unbelievable.
way to build equity
That's
and increase your net worth.
How about that? You just,
Right
there you
there.
go. There,
Yeah.
there is an
So-
option, right? That's one option.
So yeah. we
You
might
talked
have
about
to
grants too.
Yeah.
allow our ego to go with 5% down for a multi-unit property by pooling funds together. And then there was another thing that just happened this week, so I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about it on the last podcast, that now affordable dwelling units are going to be allowed to be built on single-family lots
Yes.
and still be
Yes.
considered just, one property.
Wow.
So
Yes.
that's amazing, right?
Wow.
So at least they're trying to combat what we foresee as an
Mhm.
affordability crisis to still move forward home ownership, something to consider.
Yes.
So a ADU, like I said, maybe mom and them want to live with you, but not live with you.
Not bad.
This is about to be another option that's going to be available, and I think it's good.
Yep.
I think it's good. I think we need to have solutions because ultimately, the goals that people have said they have or their dreams, I feel are tied into, retiring, home ownership. All of these things have a correlation together.
Mhm.
And not saying that you can't do it if you never buy a home. Please don't take that, but I think it'll be easier.
I agree.
Mhm.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yep. And who doesn't like an easy button? Life is hard. We need an
We
easy
need
button
that button.
somewhere.
Where's your easy button?
I don't have an
No.
easy button. You don't want to see the button I have.
All right, ladies. Well, let's just keep them with time. Although we were,
All
I
right.
guess, about 30 minutes into this, I hope that we were able to provide you guys some value, to enlighten you, to give you some additional knowledge, to arm you so that you can be educated and make an informed decision going forward. And don't listen to the hype, what the media is putting out there, because obviously it's ratings, it's entertainment, it's to get you guys excited, and you talked about fear. So the reality is, talk to an expert. You've got a team here. If nothing else, let us be a resource for you and to help guide you, and to help sit down and dive deep on what your situation is. Like we said early on, everybody's story is different. Maybe today is not the day, but maybe it is next year. Kita on my left said, you know what, we can work with you, put a plan together, but help guide you. Kita on my right, I know you put a podcast out earlier this week about absolutely putting it together, but Kita on my left said, you got to be disciplined. You got to want it better, more than you do a brand new car. Because a car, we know, depreciates the moment you
Depreciating
drive
asset.
it. Amen. Off the lot. I'm not going to get on that soapbox.
Yes.
But again, let us be a resource for you. We're all here, each one of us. You can drop a comment below.